Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be showing you my favorite white nail polishes. I know I thought I was going to be done with my favorite color series, but then a couple of months ago I think I saw Ray from Polish with Ray share her favorite white polishes and I was like, duh, how could I forget? I had so many that I could share. Granted, I have shared a lot of these shades before in several other of my videos, but I figured I can just put them all together in one video so it's easy to find. I don't know about you, but I love a good white manicure. I know some people really hate the stark white nails in the summer kind of trend, but I'm a big fan of it. But I'm also a big fan of milky white polishes and super sheer ghostly whites. So if you're a fan of that too, then let me show you my favorites. So starting with some of the basics, the very first polish that I have is Dimension Nails Vanilla Almond Milk, and this is my favorite when it comes to a white, milky, sheer kind of polish. It just has such a beautiful formula. I love Dimension Nails Paddle Brush. I love the name of this polish. I think it's just so cute. I know sheer milky whites are not for everybody, but if you do really love them, I think this is such a great one. It's such a beautiful palette cleanser. On one coat, it definitely is really subtle where you're barely getting that wash of color across your nail, but I think it still does brighten up your nails a little bit. My preference though is definitely wearing this in 2 or 3 coats. Another favorite is Zoya Adel, which is also a milky white, but this one is even brighter, like it's more of a stark white color. And I would say that this one is a little bit more on like the crelly or buildable side. Obviously, it is still going to be sheer here on the first coat, but once you start to see it in 2 and especially 3 coats, you see a lot less of your nail line. So it's a bit more full coverage than a typical milky kind of sheer like the last polish, but still very squishy compared to a true white cream. So I just really like this as an in-between when it comes to the formula, but I also really just love how bright this color is. Like I normally associate this as one of my winter whites, but I think it can work really well for the early summer season. And then when it comes to a white cream, my favorite is Ave Snow, which is definitely a very new one to my collection. This one only launched last winter, but as some of you know, I love Ave's cream formulas. They are just so buttery smooth. Even for a lot of the light colors, they have just incredible coverage on the first coat alone. Obviously, I do have some streaks here, like none of them are going to be one coaters, but the formulas are just such a breeze to work with, and I also really love her brushes, so it just makes the whole painting experience top-notch. And now for my specialty finishes, you're going to recognize so many of them because I always talk about these shades. This first one is Mooncat's Ghost of Hecate, which came out in the Goddess Complex collection last spring. This one is an incredibly sheer white crelly base that has this super glowy ethereal blue shimmer, as well as this dainty hollow sparkle. It is just absolutely breathtaking. Under direct lighting like seen here, it might not look super impressive, especially on one coat alone, because it kind of could look like just a topper, but in indirect light it just glows so much and it is so cool. I definitely do prefer to wear this a little bit more built up, usually in 3 coats like seen here. It's still going to be sheer, so you might want to use a blurring base, but I personally think it adds to that ethereal ghostly kind of look. Next up I have Mooncat's Pixiestick, which came out in last year's Lost in a Folktale collection. This is another sheer, buildable, white, crelly kind of polish that is absolutely packed with this glowing green shimmer. I always say this whenever I wear this polish, but it just reminds me of wearing cellophane on your nails because of how glowy and iridescent it looks, especially in indirect lighting. But I feel like the white base in this one does pick up a little bit more, so it's a bit more full coverage compared to the last shade, for example, but you are still gonna see some nail line. And the last Mooncat that I have is Curiosity's Prey, which is this super stunning milky white jelly base that is absolutely packed with these glowing iridescent microflakes that shift from blue to green to orange and yellow. There's just a lot of colors going on, and in combination with the white base, I feel like this is the perfect opal nail polish. As an October Libra, I just absolutely adore this shade. It is so dainty and so beautiful. Again, maybe not super impressive on the first coat alone. I do think this one has the best effect when you layer it in 3 coats and you get all of those flakies layered up. It is just so gorgeous. Definitely one of those polishes that you can just get so lost in. Keeping on with the gemstone theme, the next polish I have is Cirque Colors Mystic Moonstone, and this is a super white, milky sheer that has this glowing electric blue shimmer as well as a dainty hollow sparkle. I'm sure you guys already know I just love this formula from Cirque. I feel like this one specifically does have a little bit more of an almost pearlescent kind of vibe. You might be able to tell by how there are some brush strokes in the base, but I still wouldn't call it like a pearly shade. Maybe I'm just forgiving because of that blue shimmer. It is just so beautiful and so glowy, but I really don't find it to be as streaky as a typical pearl polish. Either way, this one definitely is really sheer, but just builds up so beautifully. My favorite is wearing this in 3 coats just so the base really pops. For a warmer option, I really love Cirque's Moonbeam. This one has almost like an ivory color base. I guess it's not technically white, but very close. And this one is packed with this beautiful yellow golden shimmer as well as that dainty hollow sparkle. So this is more or less the same kind of formula as the last polish, but as you can maybe tell, the shimmer in this one is just a little bit bigger. It's not quite that same sheen as the blue in Mystic Moonstone. So I think this one is a little bit less on the pearlescent side, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. Either way, I really love this one. As I'm sure you know, I'm such a sucker for a beautiful golden shimmer. There's just something so magical about it. I feel like it gives me total Twilight Hour vibes. Next up I have Zoya's Alexis, and this one is described as a shimmering white diamond with a beautiful mirrored effect. This one is definitely another super sheer one. You can easily wear this as a topper over whatever darker shade in 1 coat to really make it pop, but I actually really love how this builds up in 3 coats just because you get more of those white flecks layered in, and it really does give it this like crushed diamond kind of vibe, but without being reflective or holographic. Like last month for my April favorites, I shared KB Shimmers Out of Sequins for my April Diamond Birthstone pick, which, don't get me wrong, is still my top pick for a crushed diamond look, but I feel like this one is such a great alternative. I love that it almost has this sort of shiny, twinkly metallic look, but it's still very much white and not silver. Another one of my favorite winter whites is Zoya's Aspen. This one, as you can tell by the frosted bottle, is a matte polish, which I know some people don't love matte finishes, but I don't know, there's something so beautiful about this one. It's a very pigmented, almost crelly kind of white base that has this really beautiful white shimmer. It's just so bright and fresh and just gives me total winter wonderland vibes. It does look really pretty glossy because all of that shimmer really twinkles, but I just, again, really like how this dries down in that matte finish. It just feels so soft. Another one of my favorite wintry whites is Kathleen Co's Moon. This one is a super sheer white jelly kind of polish that is packed with this golden shimmer that shifts to green in extreme angles. On the first coat, it does kind of look like it could just be a topper, but this one builds up so beautifully. On 2 coats, you already start to see more of that white base, but it's still very sheer and ghostly. But I just love how ethereal and whimsical this kind of shade is. I definitely do prefer wearing this on 3 coats where you get more of that white base color coming through. It's just such a beautiful shade with that golden glow. I feel like it reminds me of the sun setting over snow. Another white shimmer that I love is Great Lakes Lacquer Lake Superior Shenanigans, which was from Polish Pickup. I think maybe not last year, but the year before that. This one is a sheer white kind of crelly polish with a super gorgeous green glowing shimmer that shifts to, I think, blue and maybe purple in extreme lighting. It is just so incredibly glowy, and I love how this builds up. You definitely get a lot more of that white base when you do a 2nd coat, and it'll be even more full coverage if you do 3. It is just so stunning. And the last shade that I have is Bee's Knees Lacquer Little Bird, which is one of my very first polishes from Hella Handmade Creations. It's basically very similar to Polish Pickup, but I just don't want to get down that rabbit hole. Doing one monthly pre-order thing is enough. But when I saw Caitlin Swatches share this one, I just fell in love. It's basically the white version of Doomicorn, where it has the same green to blue shifting shimmer, but it's just in a different base. So this is technically a sibling polish, and I just think it's so enchanting. I love how whimsical these white sheer bases with glowing shimmers are. They're just so magical. And finally, we have the Collage. I just love how this looks so much. I obviously have the more true kind of basic white shades at the top, and then the rest are the specialty finishes. Very clearly have a type when it comes to anything with a gold, green, or blue shimmer, but I also do love some fleekies too. So that wraps up my favorite white nail polishes. As always, I would love to know what you think of my picks and if we have any favorites in common. Of course, you have to let me know what are some of your favorite white polishes, assuming you even like them. I can definitely understand why a lot of people would prefer to wear like more colorful polishes, but I feel like a lot of these that have shimmer really stand out. But like I mentioned, I'm definitely still a big fan of just a classic milky white or even like a stark white cream. It can really hit the spot sometimes. So make sure to leave me any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!